a headline. Zack Snyder is Warner Brothers DC future. They tried to get rid of him, but Zack Snyder is back with multiple DC movies coming to HBO Max, making him the franchise future once more. Well, what can we do? So, 3 years after trying to divert from Zack Snyder's original plan for the DCEU, DC's movie future once again rests in the hands of a controversial filmmaker who started it all with Man of Steel 2013. Following Snyder's departure and the flop of Joss Whedon's Justice League, the DCU took its time finding a new identity, seemingly finding it in a discontinued multiverse. But in the end, that may have only paved the way for Snyder's return. The DCEU wasn't a total failure in Snyder's absence. In fact, there was a number of hits with Aquaman and Joker, bringing in over $1 billion in the box office. Even Shazam and Birds of Prey, while falling short of expectations, financially still brought in positive reviews. Despite these wins, DC films couldn't get out from under the looming shadow of the Snyder Cut. Why is Zack Snyder's Justice League getting so much extra work done? We don't need to know that because it's not that much work. Now, with Zack Snyder's Justice League officially on the way and the Zack Snyder produced Wonder Woman 84 hitting HBO Max on Christmas, Snyder finds himself once again leading the charge of the future of DC movies. Warner Brothers tried to abandon Snyder's plan after BVS. How wrong were you? When Christopher Nolan chose Zack Snyder to apply his Watchmen sensibilities as director of Man of Steel, the Avengers hadn't yet come out, and regular billion-dollar installments and shared universe setups weren't an expectation. That didn't stop Snyder thinking big for the sequel. Though during production of Man of Steel, Snyder devised a plan to turn his Superman story into a 5-part arc, using the mythological approach of Lord of the Rings, exploring the nature of Superman's heroism, and showing how he inspired Batman to form Justice League, who would face off against the looming threat of Darkseid in a trilogy of movies. While the 5-part series, not including a number of spin-offs like Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, was a starkly different approach from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, sprawling continuity. Continuity, right, yeah. Seriously, wake up, Marvel fans. Most of them you didn't need to see the one before. Snyder's Superman arc had barely started before it was over. Man of Steel and BVS were both big hits at the box office, yet fell short of the newly established billion-dollar super hit benchmark factor, and the polarising love it or hate it reception of both movies, and Warner Brothers got cold feet. That's because you hacked BVS down to 2 hours. Snyder hadn't even started shooting a Justice League movie when he had to rewrite the script due the rewrite was only a signal for things to come, as additional on-set rewrites and creative clashes continued to plague the movie's production because Warner Brothers and people like Jeff Johns was having ants in their pants. Clashes Snyder's finished shooting and was several months into post-production when he finally left in the wake of family tragedy. Through rumours of a less than amicable split have always lingered. After Snyder's departure, Joss Whedon was hired to complete Justice League, but not without adding 80 new pages of script and conducting weeks of additional reshoots to overhaul the plot and tone the movie. While Snyder's has reputation for being fun and friendly on set, Whedon's time as director is now plagued of claims and abuse and racism by cyborg actor Ray Fisher and others. Justice League, Joss Whedon, explained. After Justice League Warner Brothers abandoned Snyder's plan for Justice League 2 and 3 and pushed forward with much lighter films like Aquaman and Shazam, but also ventured into R-rated territory with Joker and Birds of Prey. While they all enjoyed positive reviews, Aquaman and Joker were box office mega hits, while Birds of Prey and Shazam brought in significantly less than Warner Brothers hoped. Snyder movies have been DC's most successful. Yeah. The controversy of Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman loomed over Snyder's tenure. Truly, he shouldn't be blamed for Justice League, and the success of Aquaman was quickly pointed to be as a template for the future, as the Jason Momoa-led solo film was bright and funny, and a big hit at the box office, a stark contrast from the Snyder days, even though Snyder and his wife producing partner Debbie Snyder were both listed as executive producers. In many ways, the new direction of DC films had a few of the franchise's biggest criticisms. Although Shazam and Birds of Prey showed that the box office wasn't something that goes hand in hand with popcorn-friendly films, not to mention as DC tried to alter its course, news of the Snyder Cut overshadowed almost all developments, with the notion that Snyder's original Justice League plan could have been something far more compelling than everything else. Warner Brothers and DC was putting out the fact that people were still talking about Man of Steel BVS because they're awesome movies, the best superhero movies ever to date. And as much as any new release, and that many people were coming to appreciate the controversial films that didn't help this new direction take root. Looking back at Snyder's time as the driving force in the franchise, excluding Justice League for obvious reasons, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman were all produced by Snyder's production company, with the exception of Suicide Squad, averaged nearly $780 million at the box office, while despite the big bumps of Aquaman and Joker, the post-Justice League DCU averaged just under $690 million. Granted, the post-Snyder movies also had low budgets, which may indicate a higher profit margin, which is offset by mishandling of Joker's financial and Aquaman's international heavy haul. But when it comes to blockbusters, revenue is the biggest indicator of popularity, and the numbers say that Snyder's tenure was more popular on average. Zack Snyder's DC plan is the only plan Warner Brothers has had. And there you can see the back of the t-shirts that he made, the symbolism that Zack Snyder designed, and where he was actually going to take the movies. All the clues are there for you to decipher. In retrospect, it's ironic that many early complaints about the DCU accused Warner Brothers of not having a plan, considering Snyder had a fairly intricately planned 5-movie saga charted out. It was actually Warner Brothers who was working against Snyder's attempts to institute his plan, constantly pushing for a larger interconnected franchise like the MCU, instead of one that would be over after a short arc with a complete story like Lord of the Rings and The Dark Knight. Exactly. You would have Zack Snyder's films by now, if Warner Bros. Hadn't been involved. You would have had either 3 or 4, 5, I'm sure, films were all planned out, even spin-offs. They would have been over by now, and you would have been, ready to start a new story with the same characters. See, the Justice League Nightmare's not in Batman v Superman's timeline. Yeah. After Snyder just left Justice League, Lex Luthor's scene with Deathstroke was repurposed to tease a future conflict with the Injustice League or the Legion of Doom, but nothing ever came of that, as Warner Brothers decided to lean away from team-up movies and interconnection stories, going as far as to consider blowing canon up altogether to opt for more one-off movies like Joker, keeping each sub-franchise separate. It wasn't until more recently that Warner Brothers settled on the idea of embracing the multiverse, fitting every DC property ever into the same canon in a way, just like the multiverse in the comics. To be fair, the multiverse is more of a template than a plan of its own, as the movies in development don't tell any kind of cohesive story. However, with Zack Snyder's Justice League back in play and speculation over where his franchise could go next, including plans he has for Darkseid in a potential sequel, Snyder's plan could find itself once again leading the charge. DC's HBO Max rests on Snyder's properties. And the circumstances surrounding the future of DC films already seem like a perfect storm. It got crazier even with the coronavirus pandemic, thanks to the most theatres in the United States closing their doors for months and no clear indication when people will be going to theatres en masses again. Of course we will. Support the cinema. Almost every major movie got delayed. In addition, most production had to be shut down, adding even more titles to the list of delays. Wonder Woman 84 was supposed to release on June the 5th, but got delayed many times. It's now set to release simultaneously in theatres and on HBO Max on Christmas Day 2020. Since Wonder Woman 84 is produced by Snyder's production company, Stone Quarry, this means the first two major DC releases in 10 months are both Zack Snyder's films, with Zack Snyder's Justice League arriving shortly after Wonder Woman 84. And in Q1 2021, the next DC film currently scheduled to release is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in August 21, followed by The Batman in March 22, provided either of those films sees additional delays. The thing is, even if The Suicide Squad and Batman don't see any additional delays, neither one of them represents a part of any sort of larger plan for the universe. Both could get sequels and go off in their own franchise, bigger franchises, but neither will eclipse the scale of Zack Snyder's Justice League plans as the primary creator with a foothold for DC on HBO Max. If Zack Snyder's Justice League does well, HBO Max will surely be invested in continuing the story as HBO Max originals. Justice League Part 2 and 3, here we go. HBO Max is supposed to have a number of original DC movies shows every year, and some have been announced, like Peacemaker, GCPD show, Gotham City Police Department show, connected to Matt Reeves' Batman, J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark, and the Green Lantern series. So there's already some competition for Snyder. But with none of these series yet in production and Zack Snyder's Justice League on the way, Snyder's Justice League story will be the first to hit the platform, meaning most of these other series could be far out as hypothetical. Justice League 2 making Snyder's story the platform focal point, as it should be, considering it sports a cast of big names like Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Henry Cavill and more. It was long and winding road to get to this point, and things are sure to be in flux some time to come. But one thing for sure, and that's Zack Snyder is once again, at least for now, the focal point of DCEU. Whether or not it be hits big enough to get back into the driver's seat long term remains to be seen. But Warner Brothers' efforts to get rid of Snyder weren't nearly as successful as they hoped, because the fans loved BVS, Man of Steel, and we wanted his Justice League, and the fans rose up and we got it. We won. And now he's back. He might be just the man that they need. Everyone was wrong about the Justice League Snyder Cut, apart from the fans. Okay, well, if you are daft enough not to have checked out the trailer, please check out in the description for Zack Snyder's re-released trailer for Justice League. Thank you very much for listening. Catch you next time.